Sex versus Gender, Part 2. Welcome back. Okay, as you know, as part of my intro, I do have a little bit of a medical background. So, a lot of, so I'm going to continue on with some of the science, but may not, and excuse me, I am, allergies are killing me now. So I'm going to get through this. So, with my background, exercise physiology, kinesiology, athletic training, um, being a paramedic, instructor trainer, that whole bit, knowing the human body that I do, as well as I do. Yes, there are differences. There are specifically muscular differences between males and females. Okay, males have more fast twitch muscle fibers. Fast twitch muscle fibers are good for speed and for strength. However, they have less endurance. So the advantage is something like powerlifting, okay, that men are better at. If compared to a cisgender male, someone who is assigned male at birth and who lives their lives as male, cisgender male versus cisgender female. Now, females have biological females slow twitch muscle fibers. There are more of them, so they have increased endurance and have a faster recovery time. So this way, with the endurance, you're talking about more long distance running, things like that. Now, let's get into what's going on around us, in the world around us. Let's get real with a lot of this stuff. Okay. Yeah, the big thing is transgender people in women's sports. Okay. First of all, what nobody ever says or talks about is trans men. Why is that? Whenever you hear transgender in sports, it's always trans women in sports. Why? Because I don't want my daughter to be in a locker room with someone who has a penis. Okay. So why aren't you talking about trans men? I guess it's okay for your son to be in a locker room with somebody who has a vagina. Let's not talk about that. But let's talk about the other one. We need to talk about trans women. No men in women's locker room. Are there physical differences? Yes, there are. However, caveat, big caveat to that. Very few studies are around, but there are some studies talking about the age, about prepubescent, puberty, post-puberty. Okay, getting into that. The impact that hormone replacement therapy has on an individual. Okay, nobody talks about that. Why doesn't anybody talk about that? Why is it that the current administration ordered the CDC and the NIH to stop doing all studies on transgender people and transgenderism? Why? Well, one thing that I did find, and I'm going to pull it up for you. I'm obviously going to put the links in the description, so don't worry about it. It's titled Fairness for Transgender People in Sports. This is from the Journal of the Endocrine Society and is found in the National Library of Medicine. Okay? Now, listen to this. The focus has been on the participation of transgender women in female-only sports divisions due to a concern for possible residual athletic advantage from a history of atypical male puberty, the increase of testosterone. Now, transgender men have not been the source of concern, both because the male category in sports can often be considered an open category and because the testosterone treatment could be subject to the existing therapeutic use exemption process already in place for other men requiring testosterone treatment. So let's not talk about trans men, that's female to male transgender, because they're taking testosterone, which other guys are taking testosterone also. But instead, we're talking about trans women male to female, because of the testosterone levels, even though we take testosterone blockers to lower our testosterone levels. Okay, so there's that. Now, continuing on with this, and this was 3 years ago, 2022. To date, the only established driver for the athletic differences between men and women is testosterone, first during puberty and then ongoing. Now, it says the upshot is that prior to puberty, there are no measurable athletic differences between boys and girls. Thus, there is no reason for transgender children who are prepubertal to do anything other than participate in sport in the sex category that makes sense for them socially. Socially. If you're telling a 10, 11, 12-year-old, 13-year-old they cannot participate in sports, then you are stopping and stunting their social growth. This is from March of 2022, relatively recent, okay, because of the fact that, Trump came in and stopped all research. No more research on transgender people. No more research. Why? Probably because he doesn't want you finding out stuff for yourself. Okay, that's something that you need to think about. Now, with the NCAA, let's get past puberty. Let's get over to college. Now, the NCAA, according to the NCAA, there are well over 500,000, over 530 collegiate athletes. 530,000, 500,000, 530,000 collegiate athletes. How many of them are transgender? 10. 10 out of 500,000 athletes. This whole big thing is because of 10 people. Now, let's look at their policy, the NCAA's policy, which, of course, had to back up the executive order. So the NCAA, the participation policy for transgender student athletes, it states for an NCAA men's team, regardless of sex assigned at birth or gender identity, a student athlete may participate, both practice and compete, with a men's team, assuming they meet all other NCAA eligibility requirements. NCAA women's team, for competition, a student athlete assigned male at birth may not compete on a woman's team. That student athlete assigned male at birth may practice on the team, but may not compete on the team. Okay, well, you know what? I'm a trans man. I'm a trans woman, male to female. Well, I guess since I'm part of the womanhood now, part of the sisterhood, congratulations, I'm part of the misogyny now. That no matter what, men's team, no matter what sex you're assigned at birth, no matter how you identify, yeah, you can practice, you could compete. Yay. But I guess if you're a trans woman, sorry, you can't. Why, again, why not? Why not? Well, because, after all, right, like I said before, men have more fast twitch muscle fibers, women have more slow twitch muscle fibers. Come on. I love when people say, come on, just look at them. It's a no-brainer. The men are, and the women. Have you seen some of these women athletes? Really? Some of them are bigger than the guys. Okay? So let's not do this. If you're talking about, well, we don't want men in the locker room with women because we need to protect women. You need women. Be thankful that all of these men, all of these old, white, conservative men are just fighting to protect you and keep you barefoot and pregnant in the house. We have to protect the women, so we can't have men in the locker room with the women. Just like I can't have a man in a dress in the bathroom with my 5-year-old daughter. Well, number one, why are you letting your daughter go into a public restroom all by herself? That's bad parenting. And number two, what did I say before about the identity? If I identify as a woman, I'm not going to rape a woman. It's a woman. I'm in there to use the bathroom. It's just your fears. That's all that it is your fears. But now, okay, let's take a look at this whole thing now about biological sex. Okay, biological sex. If you're going into a bathroom, you have to be a biological female. You have to be a biological male. Okay, well, here's one picture. Look at this guy. Aiden Dowling. Nice guy. I mean, come on, look at him. Big muscles, right? Was actually on the cover of Men's Health magazine. How many guys out there read Men's Health magazine? Was actually on the cover of Men's Health magazine. Biological reality that this administration talks about. Okay, Aiden is going to be in the bathroom with your 5-year-old daughter because Aiden was the first transgender man on the cover of Men's Health magazine. He's a transgender advocate and a presenter. Aiden is a trans man. Aiden has a vagina. So Aiden is going to be in the bathroom with your daughter because that's the biological reality. Okay, how about this next one? She's pretty cute, right? That's Anya Marino. And I'm sure you know what I'm going to be talking about here. Anya Marino has a bachelor's in anthropology from Johns Hopkins University, also has her jurisprudence at Maryland Carey Law in the University of Maryland. She's an attorney, a BA in anthropology and an attorney, and Anya was one of the first transgender women of color at Harvard Law School's LGBTQ advocacy clinic, and is the director of the National Women's Law Center. Guys, that's what's going to be coming into the bathroom with you then, as the biological reality. So let's stop with all of this stupidity, okay? If I'm going into a women's bathroom because I am transgender, I am a trans woman, and I identify as a woman, I'm going in to use the bathroom. My God. And if your 5-year-old daughter is all alone in that bathroom, I'm going to be coming out and dragging you in, saying, what the heck is wrong with you? You need to be a parent, and you need to be there with your child, because that's what a parent does. Now, if you're afraid of a man in a dress, I'm sorry, but that's a man issue. Okay, guys? That's a man issue. That goes all the way back to all of the other garbage that you hear. Oh, well, she needed to be raped because of, look at what she was wearing, Your Honor. She was wearing a short dress, so she tempted me. My God. You're supposed to be thinking with the head that's on top, not the other one, guys. Stop it. It's all on you. Stop pushing it onto me. I don't want to be in your life, because if you think like that, your life is messed up. And I don't want to be in your life. So stop dragging me into your life and then complaining that I'm in your life. This is getting me a little bit crazy here. So I'm going to have to cut it short. This was my rant. Let's do the studies. You don't want them in sport. You don't want transgender women competing on women's teams. Then you have to balance it out, trans men on men's teams. And then let's have the study, because the question is it a strength issue? Not the fact of penis or vagina. Is it an issue because who has the advantage? I don't know. Let's do the study. What is it that the current administration does not want you to know? Do the study and find out exactly what the answer to that question is. And you know what? If they do find out that, well, Okay, there is a disadvantage, and you know what? Let's put more money into co-ed sports. They are in the Olympics. They have some co-ed sports and tennis and stuff like that in the Olympics. Let's put more money into co-ed sports. But we need the socialization, because if you continue to push down people and you continue to keep them under your boot, well, then now you are the ones that are to blame for future shooters, because you're the one that's pushing them down. Okay? But let's put together a group of doctors and all different people and psychologists and therapists and psychiatrists, and put them all together, and let's find out the answer to the question. And then we take it from there. Politics should not be a part of this, just like politics should not be in charge of a woman's uterus. Okay? Stand up and fight this. This is America. You need to fight this. We need to know. You need to finally understand what is going on, and not just be the happy little idiot that a lot of people, the majority of the people out there on the streets are. So, wake up. The one thing that separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom is our ability to reason. Let's reason. See you later.